Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to my channel. So, I picked up this camera not knowing what I was going to say. I have had a challenging week with a few tower moments. And when I started this channel, I initially said, I wanted to share stories of my life and where I am. And I named it the Midlife License because I didn't want to put myself in crisis, but I knew that at my age, I've experienced a lot of things um, that most people would experience when they get to midlife age. And so um, I hesitated, procrastinated, and didn't, haven't done much on this channel because I've always been a private person, to not share a lot unless I know it can help somebody. Once I know there's something in my story, something in my life that I can do to help people, I don't mind sharing those parts of me. But there's still a large chunk of who I am that wants to keep things private. So after going through the things that I've gone through this week, or getting the news that I've gotten this week, the last several years of my life, the things that I've gone through, I feel like I have hit the bottom. Not rock bottom, because I still have a roof over my head. I still have food to eat. But I've hit the bottom. And this is like a breaking point. I guess this is a transformation, something. I don't know. So, I'm just at a point in life now. I'm 39. I'm a single mother of 4. I started out young, just having so many big aspirations and dreams and what I wanted to do and how it was going to happen. And life just has not turned out the way that I even imagined it to. And I've had some pretty good things happen to me. I've had some great opportunities in life, in my career. Like with anybody's life, you're going to have ups and downs. It just seems like when things go down, though, they go down in my life. And this is by far not any type of pity video, because one thing I hate is to be a topic of people's conversations. And another thing that I hate is to be in victim mentality and victim mode, because I'm not a victim. I don't like being that mentality. And even when I had expressed to people some of the things I've gone through, I've always gotten this pity response of, oh, poor you, or people have accused me of being a victim, of trying to be a victim, when that's totally not my mindset at any point, and I have been a victim in certain things and certain times in my life, but that's not the case with everything. And I'm adult enough and responsible enough and accountable enough to say that some of the things and the reasons things have occurred in my life are because of some of my decisions. Many other things, some things have been beyond my control, but there have been things that have happened that are been totally out of my control. And let me just say this: I am apologizing right now because I know somebody is going to say, "Girl, change the batteries in those alarms, please." Yes, I know I need to do that. So I'll get it done, but not right now. So anyway, I want to thank you for tuning in to this. So I said all that to say this, is that I just feel like I'm in a place in life where I'm ready to just stop surviving. I feel like I've been in survival mode for at least the last 5 to 7 years of my life, and I'm just tired of being in survival mode. I'm ready to thrive. I think I have survived enough. And I'm just ready to be in a place of thriving. And I'll give you a quick backstory as to why I am feeling this way this week. So I came into 2022, like I said, with big aspirations. I feel like I should be further along in my career than I am. And I know you've been here, if you know what I'm talking about, if you've been here. So many people have been where I am right now. So I know that I'm not in this alone. Some of you are going through it right now. But I'm just in a place right now where to, um, I was ready to take my career to another level. I even created a vision PowerPoint, not so much a board that is in front of me, but I created a PowerPoint for the vision of my life for the next 5 years. And I don't know, maybe this is the start. Maybe I had to have these tower moments to start, but I felt like I was making decisions to get to the point where I wanted to be. And you guys can tell this is just an impromptu video because my hair isn't done. I got a hat on, I'm wearing a t-shirt and leggings. This is just an impromptu video, but I had to get this out because I feel like this is going to be a part of my healing, and I feel like I'll touch some people and we'll be in a relatable place. So anyway, the beginning of this year, I decided that at some point this year, I was going to go back to school so that I could work towards the degree that I wanted to. And mind you, I've tried to go back to school at least 3 times to get my master's degree or my doctorate degree. And each time I've had to withdraw. For the last 7 years, up until May of 2021, I was my mother's primary caregiver. She was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. And I decided to keep her home versus putting her in the nursing home. And it was much more expensive to put her in the nursing home as well. But decided to keep her home. I worked as a full-time mom. I worked as a full-time person, and I was a mom as well. And so, I was her primary caregiver. Yes, I had people come and sit with her while I worked, but I was the one that prepared her for the day in the morning, and I was the one that got her ready for bed. So changing her bed, feeding, all of that, I did most of the work on over these last several years. And initially I moved back home because it seems like the best time I had in my life was when I had moved away from home. And initially I came home just for a little while for another reset. I was just going to be here for a few months and I was going to move back to where I came from. But then I got home and saw the condition of my mom and realized I had to stay. And so I ended up being here 7 years, not wanting to be here because I wanted to, but being here because I had to, because I felt obligated as my mother's child, her only daughter, to be here with her, and not leave her in the hands or the responsibility of anybody else. So that was a decision that I made, but that came with a lot of sacrifice and a lot of compromise that I don't think sometimes people understand and they won't understand it until they actually live it. So that was a very challenging time in my life. If you've never dealt with someone with dementia before, it's hard to explain, and especially the type of dementia she had. It wasn't like Alzheimer's where it affects the back lobes of your brain. This type of dementia affected her frontal lobe, so it affected decision making and impulsivity and language and decision making. It's just all the things would probably make her look more like a psych patient more so than somebody with dementia. So it was definitely challenging for me and my older 2 children. So anyway, I moved back home, got another job, advanced. I kept advancing this job, and ended up in a supervisory position. And during COVID, that position got really, really stressful, and I saw some things that I didn't want to see. I experienced some hard times, and being someone of my complexion and my gender, the fight was always tougher for me. And unless you were somebody of my gender and my complexion, you probably wouldn't understand that either. But it was definitely the being heard and getting what I needed was definitely tougher for me, because I feel like I was seen as the person that was supposed to have it, that nobody looked at me as, on my job, we're seen as aggressive. But when somebody else, another woman of a different complexion is in a position I'm in, they're seen as assertive and people are more nurturing towards them, I feel like. So that's something that I dealt with on this job. And so anyway, earlier this year, I decided to step down out of that position. But when I stepped down out of that position, I was moving into a position where I would be making the same amount of money or more. And I was previously the supervisor of the position that I stepped down into. And so I knew all the background on it and everything before I made the decision to step down. And 2 weeks after I stepped down in this position that I'm in now, the agency came back and said that we had to resign, or I had to resign from this position, reapply for the same position at a new rate, because this position fell under the panorama. And you know what I'm saying when I say the panorama grant. And now all before, when I was the supervisor for this position, and I'm not the only person that was in this position. There were different people in different regions in these positions. So this wasn't specific to me. Like, it wasn't something against me. It was just the decision that they made about all the positions that fell in this category. And so all before, when I was a supervisor, they kept telling us this money was guaranteed. The contract goes through a few years and it's totally funded. It's not funded through the Panorama grant. This is something else. So it wouldn't be affected by the Panorama. Okay. So anyway, 2 weeks later after I got to this position, two weeks after I got in this position, they came back and said that, of course, we had to resign, and I said that. And so as a result of that, it was a large pay cut for me that I was not prepared to take. Huge pay cut, and as a single mother of 4, that's not easy at all. So I've definitely gone through some financial hardship over the last few months. And so as a result of that, I said, well, I'll go, because my job was Monday through Friday. So I said, well, I'll go get a weekend job. And with that job, the challenges were there because they would send me last minute and say, we need you at orientation this time, or we need this, or we need that. And I was letting them know, I work a full-time job during the week. So I have to know in advance, because in my current position, I make appointments where I have to go out and see people. And I don't want to have to keep rescheduling my appointments for my primary job, because the second job is giving me last minute notice on things. The communication just wasn't there. And it was a part-time weekend position. And so I'll get back to the significance of that. So anyway, before I applied to get this second job on the weekend, I applied for 2 doctorate programs, where the first one I was rejected. They said I didn't get in. And then so a friend of mine encouraged me to go ahead and apply for a different program, because, and let me know, they're not the only school. There are plenty of schools out here. That doesn't mean that you give up. And so taking her advice and believing in what she was saying within myself, I applied for a local program, and everything was going well until they searched this clearinghouse. I guess it brings up all the schools that a person has attended. And there's a school that came up under there where I didn't have the transcript for. But the reason I didn't put that school on my application was because I withdrew within the first 2 weeks of the program. Because at the time, that's when my mom's condition started to decline, and I had to start putting more care into her. And so working full-time, being a mom, and trying to attend all their extracurricular activities and going to school was quite challenging for me at the time. And so I needed to put more energy into my mom. And so I had to withdraw from that program. And so I didn't have any grades to report, so I didn't put them on my application, which is a lesson learned. So by the time I had gotten, now I submitted everything else before the deadline, but by the time I had gotten the information I needed from this other school, they had already gone through the selection process and weren't selecting any more students for this semester, this coming fall semester. So I missed out on the opportunity to get into school. this particular semester, and so now the program doesn't admit until the fall of next year, 2023. So it feels like my whole plan crumbled because I stepped down to get into this position, so that I could have more time and more energy and space to put into school. Well, that plan crumbled. And so I said, well, um, at the same time, I was trying to get this second job to make up for the supplement. And plus, I would be able to put, more time on the weekend to work and supplement that money in, so I could put more energy during the week for school. And so they called me yesterday. Mind you, I got all of this information yesterday. So I found out yesterday about this particular DMP program not admitting me this semester, which they didn't even send a letter or anything to let me know. I had to call them. And then the job that I was trying to get on the weekend, I was supposed to start working this coming weekend, and they called me yesterday and said they're sorry, it's not going to work out because they don't have a way of training me on the weekend when the primary supervisor works Monday through Friday. And I'm looking like, so before you requested and wasted my time, I've been to orientation and everything, y'all didn't think about how you were going to make this work. It wasn't like you didn't know that I worked a full-time job. And if the communication had been better and they would have let me know the days that they needed me to have orientation during the week, that way I could go on the weekend and do what I needed to do. If the communication had been better, it would be fine, but they wanted to come last minute. Last week, they emailed me Friday evening and said, we need you at orientation on Monday. And I'm like, I already have appointments on my primary job scheduled. I can't do that. That's too short of notice. But if I had 2 or 3 week notice, I'd be fine to come and do it, And they knew this. This wasn't the first time I told them I work Monday through Friday, so just give me enough notice. I have emails showing, that I said just give me enough notice and I can make arrangements. But it didn't seem like they really wanted to work with me on that anyway. So I said all of that to say this, like my whole plan crumbled for that. Every single thing that I'm trying to elevate and get me out of this space seems to have crumbled right before my eyes. Just crumbled. And so here I am trying to stay positive, 39-year-old mom, 39-year-old single mom, in this space of struggle. And I've never been comfortable with struggle. Even as a teenager, I worked 2 jobs, and I was a cheerleader, and I went to school and maintained a 3.2 GPA. Like, I have never been all right with struggle. My mother was a single mother, and now that I'm older, I realize that she did go through struggle, but she never let us see it. And just watching her and knowing what she was able to provide for us, like I've never been outright with struggle. Like people would say I was spoiled as a child, but I wasn't spoiled to the point where I depended on her. Like she raised me to be independent. So I'm just in a space of here we go again. Like here I am trying to survive. And this is all recent, but like I've, seems like life has gone backward with me. Backward. It seemed like life has been going backward or had been going backward for me since I've been back home. I started dating guys that I probably would have never given a chance to. I got pregnant twice. Well, I've been pregnant 3 times, but I've given birth to 2 little boys. They're 1 and 3. I love them so much. I wouldn't trade them for the world. But I've gotten babies by, I've had them by guys that really didn't care about me like that. So I've had failed relationships. I've been divorced for 12 years now. Was engaged and that didn't work out. I've had failed relationships. Like, I'm just ready for things. Like I said, it's just been survival mode, and I'm just ready for things to start looking up again. And so this is about to be a journey for me. I don't know what all this means. I don't know what it all means. The heartbreak, losing my parents. I've lost my parents. I lost my father back in 2015. Lost my mom last year. like I said, divorced, single mother for like some of these decisions have been made by choice and some beyond my control. And you know, I have a baby, and then I have a son in college who I'm having to pay tuition for, which I'm gonna do what I gotta do to pay that tuition for him. But you know, it really is midlife issues going on here. And if you would have told me at 18, maybe even 21, that I'd be going through this at this age, I wouldn't have believed you, because that wasn't my mindset. But to be where I am right now, it just wasn't my mindset. It seems like I went from all right to bad to worse, and it's like I'm just ready for when am I gonna get out of the valley and go back up? You know, seems like I've been in this valley for 7 years, and I'm ready to get out. I'm tired of surviving. I'm ready to thrive, and I don't know what all of this means. I'm okay with my job now. Like, I'm grateful for my job, but it's not one that challenges me right now, because like I said, I stepped down to go back to school so I could have it easier, less responsibility at work, and put more time into school. So now I'm just in a space of blah. You know, my children, I love them. I love being a mother. I love being a mother. I love supporting them in their extracurricular activities. I love supporting them in life, you know. But I'm meant for more than this. I know I am. I know that I'm meant to be more than this. And you know, it's like, now where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? I don't want to go any lower than this, but it's got to get better than this, you know. And so that's my mindset right now. I want to be loved again. I want to have true romantic love again. I want to have the career of my dreams. I want to be the best mother that I can be to each of my children, and be the one that each of them needs. And I feel like I'm in that space now, to be where I need to be for them. But I thought I was on the verge of being happy, which I know happiness comes from within. And so when you experience tower after tower like I've been experiencing, it's just hard to, it's like every time I take a few steps up, it seems like I get knocked back down. So staying in a space of positivity is hard in this space. And so if there's anybody out there that's experiencing this like I am, I want you to know that you're not alone. I feel, and I know, because sometimes when you're going through this thing, you feel like nobody understands. But I want you to know that I understand. There are others out here. There's a collective of us out here that understands. And so stay hopeful. Do what you have to do for you. Manage your mental health, your self-care, and go within. The answers are always within. Meditation, prayer, self-care, silence, solitude sometimes. Not saying that you need to isolate yourself from your family, but there are times when we need to be in solitude so that we can find the answers. And at this point, I feel like that's where I'm going to be, in solitude, trying to figure out where I go from here. It hurts to be in this space. It causes anxiety, especially when you're trying to survive and take care of your children, and figuring out how or what you're going to do to support and give them what they need, and still maintain and pay all your bills. And this was kind of challenging, because to open myself up and be vulnerable like this in front of the camera and just tell my story of where I am right now, it's hard, you know. But I know it's not in vain. So hang in there and subscribe if you have not. I would love to bring you guys along this journey to see where it leads me, because I know that it's up from here. It has to be. I don't desire to go any lower than this, and so the only way and the only option to go is up. So hang in there with me. I'll hang in there with you. I'll share more stories, more of my experience, and hopefully we can help each other get through. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and subscribe and like this video and share with others. I would love to have you all on my journey. Take care.